Hi guys, how's it going? This is Movie Collector 64 slash the Video Gamer 64 here, and today I am going to be doing a review of the 1984 classic horror film called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's get started. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper, so I'm going to be reading my review off paper, and I hope all of you enjoyed this video. Let's get started. In 1984, an iconic character named Freddy Krueger was born. A Nightmare on Elm Street was written and directed by an awesome creative person named Wes Craven. Wes Craven created a movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street that changed the slasher horror genre forever. It was the first appearance of Freddy Krueger, played by Robert Englund. It was also Johnny Depp's debut as a movie actor. Anyway, let's get to the plot. The plot basically starts with a teenager named Tina. Tina gets dogged in her nightmare in the boiler room, and then she gets attacked by a disfigured man named Freddy Krueger. After that, she wakes up from the bad dream that she had. I wrote a lot down, so y'all guys get prepared. But, yeah. Then her mother noticed the 4 slashes on her nightgown. The next day, Tina is comforted by her friend named Nancy and her boyfriend named Glenn. Later on, Glenn and Nancy sleeps at Tina's house. The sleepover got interrupted by Tina's boyfriend named Rod. Then Tina goes to sleep, and then she has another nightmare. So sorry for her. In her nightmare, she sees Freddy as she tries to run away from him. Then he catches up to her and he slashes her in her nightmare. Rod wakes up and sees his girlfriend screaming in pain and seeing blood all over her, and she was floating around while bleeding. Kind of reminds you of The Exorcism, huh? The movies? Anyway, at the end of the scene, she fell to her death in a puddle of blood. Rod flees the scene while Nancy and Glenn find Tina dead in a puddle of blood of the bed. Nancy goes and tells her father, named Lieutenant Don, about Tina's death. The following day, Rod gets arrested by Nancy's father. Then at the school, Nancy goes to sleep in the classroom. She has a nightmare and finds Freddy chasing her into the boiler room. Before Freddy could get to her, she burns her arm on a pipe, and then she wakes up screaming in the classroom. She sees the burn on her arm, and she starts to worry. When Nancy gets home, she takes a bath and falls asleep in the bathtub and nearly drowns by Freddy. Anyway, after the scene, Nancy visits Rod in jail. Rod explains that he did not hurt Tina. Then Nancy believes that Freddy was responsible for Tina's death. After that, Nancy has Glenn to watch over her as she goes to sleep. When she falls asleep, she sees Freddy Krueger in jail, where Rod is. Then she runs where she gets up. She runs after she gets up. Nancy and Glenn goes to jail where Rod was. They found him hanging. It looked like a suicide, but obviously Freddy killed him. After that, at Rod's funeral, Nancy's mom and dad becomes concerned about Nancy when she talks about what Freddy looked like in her dream. Then her mother, Marge, takes Nancy to the dream clinic. In Nancy's nightmare, she gets attacked again by Freddy and grabs his hat off of him. When she wakes up, she discovers that she could pull things out of her dreams/nightmares. Then at home, Nancy's mom started drinking a lot of alcohol. After that, Nancy questions her about the man named Freddy. Then she explains to Nancy that the man that she saw was named Freddy Krueger. She tells Nancy that he was a child murderer and that the parents burned him alive and stuff like that. Then after that, Nancy convinces Glenn to help her. Her plan was to take Freddy out of her dreams and into the real world. She sets booby traps inside her home. Glenn's parents prevent them from meeting. Glenn falls asleep and Freddy kills him. Glenn's mother witnessed Glenn's death by seeing a large-looking fountain of blood. After that, Nancy puts her mom into bed and asks her dad to break in the house in 20 minutes. She falls asleep and sees Freddy and pulls him out of her sleep. And Nancy runs away and Freddy falls into the booby traps. After that, she sets him on fire. Nancy locks him in the basement. He escapes the basement. Freddy smothers Nancy's mom. Then her dad puts the fire out. Freddy and Marge disappears. And once again, Nancy gets attacked by Freddy. She calmly turns her back on him and Freddy disappeared once again. The next day in the scene, everything was calm at first. Nancy steps outside and sees all of her friends and her mother alive. She gets in the car with her friends and the car door locks. The car became driven uncontrollably down the street and Marge gets grabbed through the front door window by Freddy Krueger to her death. And that's really how the movie ended. I wrote, in my opinion, this is a classic slasher horror film that still holds up very well. It was directed by one of the best directors in cinema history. This is actually one of my favorite movies that I've ever watched. And that's true, it is one of my favorite horror movies I've ever watched. That was even one of my favorite movies of all time. And I give, out of 5 stars, I give A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984 version, 5 out of 5 stars. I think it is a terrific film. I think it would scare people at first watching it. Just the idea of a man coming into your dreams that could kill you and stuff like that. But it's really just a movie. And it's a really great movie. I recommend all of you to check it out if any of you haven't seen it. And if any of you have seen it, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And anyway guys, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, my MetaJolt channel, and my Vidly channel. And feel free to follow my Twitter page to see more videos on here. And I hope all of you enjoy this video. Feel free to subscribe to those channels. And this is the Movie Collector 64 / the Video Gamer 64 signing off.